So there was this report that came out earlier today that was put together by a couple of journalists, and I'm going to be explaining what these group of journalists did state, because I do have a few things to say back about what they said, because I do think that, the fact that they had some say about Lamine Yamal's contract renewal and they believe that this is what Lamine Yamal wants, I have to talk about that, right? It's something huge. It is in Spanish, so I'm going to be translating it for you guys, so you guys can understand what these journalists were trying to say and how they were trying to, I would just say, maybe put false narratives within this club. So let's talk about that, right? I'm going to read it to you guys. FC Barcelona wants to make Lamine Yamal the cornerstone of its new project. Even though he is only 17, Barcelona is fully aware of the youngster's potential and how decisive he can be in the years ahead. For that reason, the board has already sat down with him to renegotiate a contract that currently runs until June 2026. This was revealed on Wednesday by Santi Ovalle on Cadena Ser's program, where he explained that although the renewal is not yet closed, both sides intend to sign a new deal that will last until 2030. More information, right? The numbers behind Lamine Yamal's renewal with Barcelona, the player would be placed on the club's top salary tier, meaning that once he does sign this contract renewal, he'll be one of the best paid players in the club. So we all know that, right? But then they continue. Both sides say that there will be no problem, right? So there has been all these parties coming from Barcelona, the parties of Lamine Yamal, the agents and all that, and they're saying that everything's going to be okay. Everything's fine. Lamine Yamal will renew with no problem. But then they continue, right? It says here, according to Ovalle, and this is what it says in the article, okay? Lamine Yamal wants to become the highest paid player in the squad. FC Barcelona knows he is one of the project's leaders and must be put on the top salary rung. However, they have hit an obstacle. To give you an idea, the current top earner is Robert Lewandowski, who will make 26 million euros next season. Inside the club, they feel that his salary, along with those of players like Stegen and Frenkie de Jong, is out of line and needs to be revised for the coming seasons. The main concern is that the club does not want Yamal to jump into that salary bracket and completely blow up the wage structure. It is very likely he will end up being Barcelona's best paid player. He's a football genius, a potential Ballon d'Or winner, and the club understands he has to be in the first tier of the salary scale. From there, Lewandowski is set to earn 26 million. They believe that amount has to be scaled back. We'll see how those negotiations go. And then the last one, right, we have another statement coming from a different journalist claiming, regardless of whether you're 17, 18, or 19, your pay should match the difference you make. He produces game-changing performances, so his salary has to be at that level. This isn't about the age, it's about performance. If his output is exceptional, he must earn proportionally. Messi ended up earning 139 million euros gross per year. So here's the thing, right? These journalists are trying to say, and they're trying to paint this picture and trying to put the headline and say that Lamine Yamal is asking for the best contract at FC Barcelona, that he wants to have the most money over Lewandowski, over Frenkie de Jong, and over anybody else, right? They're trying to paint this narrative that Lamine Yamal and his father believe that they should be given the most money, and that if Barcelona follow that rule and they say, okay, if you give more on the field, we'll pay you more, they believe that Barcelona is going to end up broke like they did back in 2020, because with that type of formula, they ended up paying Lionel Messi a total of 139 million euros per year because his importance continued to grow more and more. And it's kind of funny, right? Because if you really think about it, what they're also trying to say is that the reason why Barcelona went broke is because of Messi and because of how much he was asking, which is the one thing that I just don't like. I think one of the things that we have to realize is I would say 99% of the reason why Barcelona fell into that hole back in 2020, where we started accumulating so much debt, it was not because of Messi's wages. Right? It was not because of that. If you go back to those articles in 2020, everybody would say, like, in those articles and on the headlines that Messi stole 139 million euros a season while Barcelona were broke and this guy is the enemy. Like, that was the whole story. That was the narrative. But like, if you really look at what Barcelona were doing outside of that during those times of, let's just say 2018, 2019, so prior to 2020, and when those like articles started to come out, right, you would understand that Barcelona were making deals that were just too big for them to handle. They paid 140 million euros for Coutinho. They paid 111 million euros for Griezmann. They paid 109 million euros for Dembele. They paid like 34 or like 45 million euros for Paulinho. They paid so much money for like X amount of players that never really like another one was like this Portuguese player, I forgot his name, but he came like in 2017 or 2018, but like they were spending money like that. They were like, okay, you get this, okay, that player wants that, okay, fine. Oh, he wants that wage, okay, just raise those wages, it's fine. Oh yeah, because he's a big time player and he's shown that that he's a world-class player. Most likely he's going to be asking for 26 million euros a season. So we're going to give him that from the front, even though they were new, even though they have never played a single game at Barcelona before. Those were the things and those were the actions that Barcelona at that time were doing that led them towards accumulating so much debt. I mean, like, think about it. The reason why the wages are so high even up until today is because of the contracts of Ter Stegen and Frankie. And these are two players that were brought in during the Bartomeu project, when Bartomeu was the president of FC Barcelona. There's a reason why over the past 2 or 3 years, Joan Laporta was trying extremely hard to let go of Gerard Piqué, Jordi Alba, the wages of Sergio Busquets. It was just too much. They had to let these players go because they were given massive contracts. And so to say that, oh yeah, Joan Laporta is going to do a bad job and put Barcelona back into this financial mess, it's false, because he did not even like give out these contracts to these players in the first place. Everything is being renewed, everything is being like restarted, and this whole structure is going to change, because moving forward from here, even though we're going to give Lamine Yamal a massive wage, just like how maybe like Messi and Griezmann and Coutinho and whoever was at that time, right? Gerard Piqué, Ter Stegen, Luis Suarez as well, right? It does not mean that Joan Laporta is also going to go out there into the transfer market and say, okay, 100 million euros for this player, 100 million euros for that player, and yeah, we'll give him 25 million euros a season up front, even though he has not proven anything at Barcelona. It does not matter. Let's give him 25 million euros a season, and it'll grow from there. Joan Laporta is not going to do that, and we have not seen Joan Laporta do that yet, since he came in 2021. And that, my friends, was the reason why Barcelona fell into the financial mess. It was because they were overpaying for players, not because of the wages. It was not because of the wages, right? It was not because of Lionel Messi taking 139 million euros a year. Yes, there is I would just say a small impact, right? I would just say a small little impact on why Barcelona went down this financial hole, but it is not the main reason why. It is not the main reason to the point where you have to say that, oh, if Joan Laporta does this and he follows this formula where if you get better and your performances get better, the wages only increase from there. Like that's not it, dude. It's not. They're missing the whole point. Barcelona under Bartomeu did much more to hurt this club than just give out massive salaries to these players. That is basically how it goes, right? So stepping away from that, I want to also, well, actually, before I go into that conversation, right, this whole thing about Santiago Valles stating that Lamine Yamal wants to be the best paid player at Barcelona is false. Lamine Yamal never said that. The father never said anything. The agent has never went out and said like, oh yeah, Lamine Yamal is looking at other clubs because he's looking for a certain amount and Barcelona are not giving what he doesn't want. Like, that's false. It's false. He wants to get paid well. Yes, there is going to be an upgrade in his pay, but he's not out there saying, I want to be the best paid player at FC Barcelona. That is false. You're putting a bad stain in this guy's name, a bad stain in Barcelona. You're just causing chaos. You're causing unnecessary negative energy that doesn't exist in the first place. And even Joan Laporta said it himself, right? He made it very clear. Your performances is linked to how much you will earn. That, my friends, is true. That is very much true. And to say that, oh yeah, like, but Lewandowski, he's gonna earn 26 million euros a season, and Joan Laporta has to fix that, and we have to scale this back. First of all, there is no reason for these journalists to say that, Lewandowski should be earning less next season, because 26 million euros is a lot. And Joan Laporta made a mistake. Bro, like, we won La Liga this season, right? And do you know who was the top goal scorer in La Liga this season? It was Lewandowski. And this goes back to the formula that Joan Laporta was talking about. Your performances correlates to how much you get paid. Lewandowski is backing up, right, with his performances, like based off how much he should get paid. He's like, okay, I'm gonna get paid 26 million euros a season, and moving forward from here, I have to back it up, and he did. He scored goals. He's the leader of the Pichichi as of now. Maybe if Mbappe scores like 4 goals in the next game, then no. But you understand the point. When Lewandowski was competing for La Liga and the Pichichi, and he wanted Barcelona to win La Liga, he was there and he scored the goals. He was very important for FC Barcelona, and that is why Lewandowski is one of the best paid players at Barcelona, and he will get paid 26 million euros a season. That is just how it is. Joan Laporta stands by his words. So I don't see any contradictions. I don't see anything about Joan Laporta doing a bad job and inflating wages. No, he goes based off, does this player provide results on the pitch? And if so, good. We give him a good salary. It's not like we're saying, okay, Inigo Martinez gets 26 million euros a season because he's 34 years old and he was an automatic starter from the beginning. No, it's not like that. It's not like that. Who else? Like we can talk about Ferran. Is he giving Ferran 25 million euros a season? No. It's only about who is the leader of the Pichichi, who is the one that's making a lot of impacts in terms of creating chances and scoring goals, providing a lot of assists, like Lamine Yamal. He looks at things like that and he says, okay, you earn this amount. With Messi, the reason why he ended up earning 139 million euros gross per year is because we all knew just how impactful Messi was. As a matter of fact, the only reason why Barcelona even won trophies between 2016 until 2021 was because of Messi. It was because of him. So this whole thing about saying that Messi's a stealer and he stole 139 million euros a season and he was asking for that amount even though Barcelona were struggling, it is not his fault. It is Bartomeu's fault for not taking care of the stuff from outside of these contracts. And you know, like I've said, like Messi became so impactful, he became so good that yes, he ended up earning 139 million euros per season because he earned it and he upgraded Barcelona. The reason why Barcelona went through Liverpool in the first leg was because of Messi. Right? The reason why Barcelona had a small chance against Bayern was because of Messi. It was because of that. So like, yeah, like, so let's just say, for example, if Lamine Yamal, right, if he keeps getting a pay raise every 2 seasons, the only way he will be able to get that is if he continues to get better and better. Let me tell you, if Yamal gets better from here every 2 seasons, can you imagine what this player is going to be like by the time he's 24, 25 years old? Obviously, he's going to be the best paid player in Barcelona in about 4 or 5 years. Obviously. And he's also going to be the best player in the world. Why would you not want to pay him and compensate him well? It doesn't make any sense. So Joan Laporta, to me, is doing the correct job. So now let's move on towards the next conversation that I want to talk about, right? Let's talk about the conversation about whether Lamine Yamal deserves this raise right now at the moment, right? And maybe bump him up to, let's just say 18 million euros a season, which is, I do think, what's going to happen. We're just going to place him next to Frankie and Lewandowski. And we're also going to be talking about the potential ripple effects that may happen if Joan Laporta is not careful. And I believe that Joan Laporta is careful. And we'll be talking about that, right? We'll be talking about what ripple effects I'm talking about, because I think that Laporta does see far off into the future. He knows what could potentially happen, but I think that Laporta has it on lockdown. But let's talk about that, right? Let's go. Does Lamine Yamal deserve a raise? June 30th, 2026 is when his contract does run out. They want to renew him this summer. And once he does get renewed this summer, his release clause is going to be 1 billion euros, right? So it's once he turns 18 on July 13th, it's going to be a big deal. His release clause is going to skyrocket. His wages are going to increase moving on to the next season. And the reason why Joan Laporta is making this happen and why, you know, it does not seem crazy that we're giving a 18-year-old player 18 million euros a season is because in this season that we have just finished, Barcelona have won the domestic treble. Okay? La Liga, the Copa del Rey, and the Spanish Super Cup. And we have also ended up in the Champions League semifinals where we have won like I think 76 to 96 million euros, but because we have participated, we got all the way to the semifinals. And Lamine Yamal was very important in those group stages. He was very important in La Liga, in the Copa del Rey, in the Spanish Super Cup. And he also starred for the Spanish national team in the Euro 2024. He played in every match, won the Young Player Award, goal of the tournament against France, top assist provider, and included in the team of the tournament. And now he's being widely regarded and in the conversation of potentially winning the Ballon d'Oro in about 4 to 5 months from today, at the age of 17 years old. Given all of that and all that context, looking at how he has like 22 assists as well. He's going to be closing out with 22 assists and 19 goals. Maybe, hopefully he reaches 21 goals or 22 goals so we can have a 2020 type of season. But taking that all into account, I don't see why Joan Laporta should not give him 18 million euros a season, because he's only if he gets better from here, like, bro, what are we talking about? We're talking about a player that's going to be in the top 3 in the world at the age of 18 or 19 years old. Laporta made his position very public on this yesterday on TV3, and he stated, "The foundations are laid, but the signature is still missing. The salary must match the importance of the player, not his age." And he calls Yamal a special case and out of the norm, and it does need special treatment, right? So I think that, you know, like players like Frankie, Lewandowski, they're going to be earning 20 to 33 million euros a season going into the Next season, Yamal is going to be third, I believe. And there's always ways for Barcelona to maybe reduce the total wages for next season. For example, Ansu Fati, who currently carries the number 10 shirt, is going to give that number 10 shirt to Lamine Yamal, and most likely he's going to be leaving, which means that we don't have to pay Ansu Fati 13 million euros a season anymore. And that's going to be off the wage books. So it's going to help Barcelona's wage bill by a little, right? And Joan Laporta is open to those type of discussions. And I know that there is questions right now, like, for example, can a 17-year-old player be a top earner at Barcelona? Of course he can. Could this potentially, right? This is going to be one of the biggest questions. And this is going to be part of the ripple effects that could happen if Joan Laporta is not careful. Could this potentially have a knock-on effect on other stars' wage expectations? Like, for example, could we potentially see a way of maybe Pedri, Alejandro Balde and Cubarsí saying, okay, we have been with Lamine Yamal for like 4 to 5 seasons already. We have showcased that we are consistent. We have showcased that we are improving per season. Cubarsí, you know, he's the best center back in the world. Alejandro Balde, the best left back in the world. We see Pedri, the best midfielder in the world. Could we potentially see them asking for the same wages as Lamine Yamal? And I think that I would say that Joan Laporta is really going to have to talk to these players and say, hey, look, we will for sure, okay, we will for sure upgrade your pay and your salary to potentially maybe, I don't know, 18, 19 million euros a season. We could do that. But if there was ever a moment where I'm gonna need to just stall a little bit, just for the sake of saving this Barcelona club, right? Because he notices that if he spends too much money on wages in this specific season, let's just say in 2029, if he says that to the players and he says, like, I have to put Barcelona first, are you guys okay with maintaining this salary for another 2 years? If the players really do love the club and they love FC Barcelona, they will say, okay, that's fine, right? I think that connection, that relationship has to happen between Joan Laporta and these other group of players. This does not mean that they don't deserve it and that I'm trying to like cheapen Pedri, Cubarsí and Alejandro Balde. It's just that if those things ever do happen in the future, for whatever reason, if Barcelona go through another financial mess, I think that it would be safe to hear that Joan Laporta says, you know, I want to tell you guys this now, in about 3 or 4 years, just in case, you know, Barcelona's not in a good position to offer you guys better wages. Assuming that you guys get better per season, are you guys okay with maybe stalling a bit and maybe maintaining the current wages that you agreed to 2 years ago? And so I think that if Joan Laporta can be transparent and paint this picture to these players, everything is going to be okay. And so yeah, like, it could happen. And if the players just say like, no, I have proven my worth, and you know, like Cubarsí, Pedri and Alejandro Balde, or maybe Jules Koundé, they're like, no, I have proven my worth. Look at all these things that I have did. I've been here for 4 to 5 years. I have been just as consistent as Lamine Yamal. I want to get paid 28 million euros a season, and they go to PSG, then oh well, we can't do nothing much. As long as Joan Laporta is transparent from the beginning and he says like, these things might potentially happen in the future, are you guys okay with that? It's gonna be okay. Because honestly, I do think that Balde and Pedri and Cubarsí love this club so much that they would do anything to continue at Barcelona, make sure that they don't harm Barcelona's wages. And of course, I think that, you know, if we get to a point where these other 3 players who are the cornerstone of Barcelona's project get to the point where they get paid like 19 to 20 million euros a season, that's fine. I think that they'll be okay. I don't see them asking for more. I don't see them asking for as much as Lamine Yamal, who might potentially reach the levels of Messi at this point. You know, so transparency. If Joan Laporta can just speak to these players early and just say that, you know, we will focus on your guys' raises, but if something does potentially happen in the future, we want you guys to be ready. If that transparency happens, Barcelona will be okay, and that ripple effect will not happen. So that is it, right? Like, yeah, Pedri right now, he earns around what, 12.5 million a season, and his contract does not end until 2029. There's 2 players that I think Joan Laporta has to be very careful with, and he's gonna have to negotiate with these players very soon. It's Jules Koundé, whose contract does end in 2027. And looking at Jules Koundé's level, he's giving out the level of, I would just say, Cafu. Like, this guy is crazy in terms of becoming the best right back in the world. This guy is really progressing to, I would just say, he is currently the best right back in the world. He knows how to defend. He knows how to attack effectively. He's very reliable. He barely does get injured. This guy, you know, without Jules Koundé, Barcelona would be in a much different position. And the fact that his contract ends in 2027, it does mean that going into 2026, next summer, which is where Joan Laporta is going to be ending his term at Barcelona. If he does want to continue for his third presidency, I do think that one of the things that he has to lock down is Jules Koundé and his continuity at FC Barcelona, because with a team like Barcelona, they cannot lose Jules Koundé. We cannot upgrade from a player like Koundé in the right back position. It is impossible. And the fact that, you know, Koundé has upgraded his level under Hansi Flick, he currently does earn 13.5 million euros a season. If Koundé does this for another season, like looking at what he did this season, and he replicates that next season, Joan Laporta is going to have to be ready, and he's going to have to showcase that, you know, Koundé is important to Barcelona and they should give him a pay raise. They have to be very careful with that. You know, we have to make sure that we don't lose the player, but at the same time not overextend ourselves. I think that we're gonna have to be ready for another push of maybe 16 to 19 million euros for Jules Koundé. And to me, if I was Joan Laporta, that is a priority. Like, that has to happen. It must. You cannot afford to lose on Jules Koundé. Now, if Koundé has other plans and he says like, no, I want more, I want like 29 million euros a season, and he goes to PSG or Man United or Man City, we can't do anything. But for sure, if Joan Laporta wants to paint this good image that, you know, if he continues with this presidency for the third time in a row, you have to lock down the players that are very important to us right now. Like what he's doing with Pedri, Yamal. I'm sure the same thing is going to happen to Kubarsi, Alejandro Balde, etc. But Jules Koundé is next. Like, he is going to be the next player we're all going to be talking about in about 6 to 7 months from today. His renewal is going to be something insane to talk about. So that is it, right? That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.